Hey witches and non-witches that are also interested in runes. Welcome back. This is our third episode in the rune series, and today we are covering Thurisaz. Thurisaz is also known as the Thorn of Thor. Now, this is kind of a complex definition, although I tend to say that for every single rune. It is true for every single rune. But for this one in particular, we're really going to break that down. The word thorn can be interpreted in a few different ways. So the Norse and the Anglo-Saxon usually viewed this rune as dangerous. Thorns prick, they cut, they hurt. However, in ancient cultures, thorns had a lot of practical uses as well. I mean, just look at putting up a bramble bush as a form of protection, a barrier. So some believe that this rune represents Thor and his hammer. It's both a weapon, but also a form of protection. While others view this more closer to being a thorn in Thor's side. So of course that would relate it to the monsters that Thor battled. In fact, the word Thurs designates a supernatural entity, usually one that is monstrous. But in reality and in readings and in spellworks, it usually could go either way. But let me get back to that in a second, because first I really want to hone in on its connection to the god Thor. It represents jumping right into action, potency, raw power, strength, rage. It is chaotic elemental forces. So let's look at mythology. There are plenty of examples of Thor losing his temper or losing control. So while all those definitions seem really muddled and maybe not always completely connected, the most important takeaway from this is that Thurisaz is one of the most powerful runes to use in magic, but it must be handled cautiously because it is a force that can either heal or destroy. Just like a thorn, it can damage or it can protect. It's really a rune about looking at balance and duality. After all, we talk about it both representing Thor, but then also representing the monsters that he fought. So this rune is heavily about balance. Thurisaz is a catalytic force, and it can be used to empower almost any spell. However, you have to be careful not to upset any balances or use it to impose your force, because in that case, there could be consequences. And you might say, well, don't we do magic in order to enforce our will? Well, no, not necessarily. Sometimes we just use magic in order to maybe sway things, raise your chances of something happening. So use it in those circumstances, but maybe just set it aside if you're planning a whole magical upheaval of something. But with all those warnings, this is still a really great rune for protection. Keep in mind the symbol of the bramble bush, lots and lots of thorns, nobody's getting through. So what about in readings? Well, this could symbolize boundaries. It could symbolize a need for you to know and recognize your own physical, emotional, or mental limits. It could suggest that you need to stop and reflect, maybe ask for help or seek out professional guidance, that you need to do this before moving forward with whatever it is you're going to do. It is oftentimes a warning that you don't want to leap into something without thinking about it. You shouldn't force something that just isn't meant to be, and you don't want to upset any balances. It could also be a symbol for something that is dangerous to you. Like I said, a thorn is also a weapon. So the biggest thing in that case is to be patient, stop and think about what you're doing, and perhaps be ready to defend yourself. On the other hand, this could also be a sign that good luck or assistance are on their way to you. But again, another warning, it is a tricky rune. So always read it in context of your question, but also in the context of the other runes that are grouped with it. But even then, even if you're like, I'm absolutely sure I'm reading this right, just take a moment and look before you leap. You don't want to jump and find that nobody's on the other side to catch you. Don't ever make assumptions when this rune shows up, because if I had to give you just one definition for this rune, it is a big flashing light saying, warning, stop, take a moment to think about what you're doing. But also on the plus side, similar to Uruz, Thurisaz is a breaker of barriers. It could be a sign of new beginnings. After all, Thor was a god of fertilization, of growth. Finally, it could be telling you that there is a need to shake things up. But keep in mind that this rune isn't just about change, it is also going to hint at what things need to be changed. So you might have destructive tendencies that it's telling you you gotta work on, you gotta fix these. The shakeup could be in the way that you're handling a situation. Maybe if you handle it the way you normally do, things are not going to go well. So you need to stop and think about it, reflect once again, as I've been saying this whole video, and come at it from a different angle, a different perspective. That is everything on the rune Thurisaz. I hope you guys enjoyed this and maybe learned a little something new. If that's the case, please hit that thumbs up down below. If you have any other comments, please leave those in or questions, leave those in the comments below. Email and Instagram. And I would appreciate a subscribe if you want to keep following this lovely, hopefully it's lovely, rune series. I think it's lovely. They're lovely to make. Hopefully they're lovely for you to watch. My next one will be out next Wednesday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And this coming Sunday, I will have a completely different video on a completely different topic at 7 a.m. also California time. But that's it for now. All right. I will see you all soon.